G'day guys, coming here, welcome back to part 2 of the video. Will be featuring Fairy Tail in Langrisser collaborations, where we feature the second characters. As you can see in the picture here is none other than one of the characters with the most popularity from the show and manga itself, none other than Erza. So before we carry on, a great thanks for information shared and provided by the Langrisser mobile app, Soyu. And as usual, the video is split into 3 parts, featuring the characters' voice and backstories, followed by characters' talent, faction, skills, 3C, and last but not least, we'll end with the pros and cons and ways to build up the characters or abuse the character skills. Are you guys ready? Here we go. And of course, before we proceed, definitely got to zoom in and appreciate the characters' art design. So, okay, in case you guys are complaining that they are wearing quite little, but if you guys have seen the opening, you might have seen or catch a glimpse of the Echo Light Skin version. Both Erza and Lucy will be in bikini mode, so you definitely got to get it. And of course, I got to apologize for my previous video for Lucy, quite some hiccups and some misunderstanding or translations because they're stuffing too much content in the characters, and I gotta say I'm not that much understanding about Fairy Tail itself, but definitely nonetheless, I think that the worst thing that dawned previously is initially, I don't quite get whether the moon and star buff is treated as a buff or debuff until it was clarified by the Langrisser data bank that apparently Zilong treated this as neither a buff nor debuff. You just treat it as a talent icon effect. Surprise, 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 some BS from Zilong in my opinion, but okay, hopefully I'll do better on this part. So okay, without further delay, and so okay, so as usual, we do not have voice pack for the characters on this part of video. However, for all of you who are familiarized with the voice actress, Erza is voiced by none other than Miss, I'm not sure if she's Mrs., but with all due respect, she's still young in my opinion, Miss Sayaka Ohara-san. So apparently she's a staple guest, a staple voice actor guest for the Langrisser game. She has voiced, if you guys are familiar or, well, old players or fans should have noticed by now, she voiced Brenda from Langrisser 5 characters and Brenda 2.0 from the Langrisser mobile third arc. Then during the 5th anniversary, or 4th or 5th anniversary, she gave a well-wisher speech to the fans of Langrisser as the characters, as the female, one of the villain characters from the Valkyrie Chronicles collaboration, Senjo no Ikusa Valkyrie, okay, as the silver hair characters, if I'm not can't really remember the name. Apparently she's not that strong. I mean, she has a furthest range. So okay, Erza, as you guys can see, her name starts with E-R. Any characters with E, E-R, E-L, R, or A, A-L are definitely very strong. So okay, I'm just gonna first let the cats out of the bag first. Compared to Lucy, due to the slightly hideous or hectic mechanism and understanding that apparently more fans prefer to use Erza because her talent and effect are more straightforward and easier to use. She do not need much setup. The only setup she needs is to sacrifice your teammate. You guys will be finding out very soon. So, alright, just let half of the cats out of the bag first. Sorry, backstory. So again, apologize. I'm not an actual fairy tale fan. I'm the fan of the previous work, Rape Group Adventures. Then, so some translations might be wrong. I'm trying my best to take and align with all the data I can get from the Wikia site. Okay, so backstories for Erza. From first line, a hair that is a length to the waist as red as ruby. Has a handsome and straightforwardness and greatly built body. And compared to her beauty, that is to be praised, is her true strength. And this is what makes all the peoples in the guild to bow before as the fairy queen. So of course, some mistranslations, apologies, but nonetheless, the first line is talking about describing the hair. She has a hair that is down to the waist and is as red as ruby, and she's a cool. They use the spicy is kind of like handsome. She has that handsome or great aura, and of course, with such a great body and style, and of course to be even more praised at, instead of her beauty, is actually talking about her strength, that she possesses even greater strengths than her beauty itself. And last but not least, she's the one who led everyone in the guild to, well, not really bow before, but to be allow them to willingly follow her orders, actions, and listen to her. And she's being quoted as the last line you see, 妖精女王, the fairy queen. Okay, and of course the voice pack is missing out here, but there's a line she's saying. So, okay, I hope I don't mess this up. Again, her name is kind of long. Okay, she's saying, my name is Erza Scarlet. I'm the mage of the Fairy Tale Guild. Yep. So okay, I have problem trying to translate the word after. Yep. So Su Ka Lei To. So apparently this is Scarlet. So like, oh gosh, I can't get the right translations from Google. So apparently I went to find from Wikia. So that's her full name. I am Erza Scarlet, the mage from Fairy Tale Guild. So yep, that's her intro from the characters, and that's it. We have come to the end of part 1, and now we'll be going to part 2, where we be going through a little bit, perhaps more, on her backstories, and followed by the actual introductions of all her skills, talents, and in fact, and like Lucy, they introduce her with the mechanism of transformations, and in fact everyone from this collaboration has a transformation skills. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So right, on part 2 for the video of Erza, it's time for Leitachima Fairy Tale, and the BGM will play. Yep, there's those shonen standardized long-term anime series where, you know, when they're gonna do their counter attacks, you will hear the I gotta be honest, it's actually a quite nice and fanciful music. Yep, something great and nice to go with the vibe and hype of the shows. I definitely gotta agree. Alright, and part 2. Okay, one sad news to tell you guys is you guys can see the date in the CN servers. It comes up on 19th of June, and the banner, surprisingly this time around, collaborations banner, instead of 35 days, they only last 28 days. It's not even 30. So you guys definitely got to save up your tickets for the 2 characters, because Natsu is free. Okay, so some expansions before we go on the background. So the first line is some repetitive again, so I'm just gonna quick extended version of the background. A hair long down to the waist, as red as ruby, with a great handsome and coolness and well-built posture body. Erza not only have a beautiful appearance in terms of strength, she is definitely the guild strongest S-rank mage, one of the S-rank mage in the guild. In battle, Erza always remain resilient. She has great faith and battle spirit that exceeds a normal human. Okay, making use of splendid leadership and responsibility, she becomes the Fairy Tales Guild fairy queen that everyone look up to. Yep, respect and look up to. So yep. Okay, not gonna repeat again, I guess. This time around, in a rush and busy with work, I'm not able to do more background checking and data collections for this video, and kind of in a rush as the event is gonna end soon. So right, okay, finally in and Erza's factions, it's from left to right, princess, collaborations, and last but not least, glory of light. So princess, we have Christiane giving the faction buff, but as of the current meta, it seems that Princess Tracy are also kind of falling off of the box. Then collaboration wise, we still have Awakener, which is pretty cool. Then last but not least, Glory of Light, we have LLR Chris, aka the Bright Summoner. So not too bad, she gets 2 out of 3 stable buff as of the current meta, and she has more usage in the current S22 or 23 Apex in the CN servers. So as you guys are watching this video right now, this is during the period where the Apex are ongoing in the CN server. Alright, so the talent, so again, watch to the end for the translations I've done for you guys. Here we go. So talent known as Queen of Fairies, or the Fairy Queen. Of course I use Queens of Fairies because it just sounds cooler. Yep. Okay, the effect as follows. Number 1, increase, all these are rank 6. Number 1, increase mobility by 2. By plus 2. Number 2, increase attack by 10%. Number 3, for each number of enemy on the field that is more than your team, increase first and second effect by 1 time. The maximum increment is 3 times. Number 4, when you initiate attack and after battle against the enemy, the following effect will happen. It has 2 types of effect. One is for PvP and one is for PvE. So PvP first. First, if enemies on the field are no less than your allies, you can act again based on remaining mobility. Okay, that's it for PvP. PvE first, you can act again based on remaining mobility. And do know that both PvP and PvE act again effect will enter a CD of 2 turns upon triggered. Number 5, at the start of the battle, obtain 1 layer of buff that provides the following revive effect. Okay, first, after receiving death blow, you will be revived with 20% HP. Second, after you initiate attack and kill enemy, you will regain 1 stack of revive buff. The max cap is at 2. And the revive effect cannot be immune nor dispel. So this is pretty cool. Okay, that's it. And of course, so much content about her talent, and definitely you got to re-summarize and go through some clarification. So number 1 and number 2 is very basic. So number 1 is by default, you can gain mobility increment by plus 2. And number 2, the minimum you get is increasing attack by 10%. Then number 3 is for when they say for each number of enemies on the field that is more than your team, increase the first and second effect by 1 time. The max cap is at 3 times. It refers to if currently there is only 4 teammates, including Erza, where there is 5, at least 5 enemies in the party. So we are talking about PvP scenario. So enemy has 1 member more than Erza, more than your team. So instead of gaining plus 2, you will gain plus 4. So you will multiply, increase by 1 more time. And this, the change is written as IP, which is 1 more time. So the maximum is your base add on with times 3 of the effect. So if there is 1 enemy more than you, you will gain plus 4 mobility and increase your attack by 20%. So if you guys, in case you guys are wondering why she has such a low increment of attack by 10%, there is certain mechanism built up for her. So this means that if Erza is the only ally left in your team and there is 4 more enemy left on the team, this means for each number of enemies that is more than you, so you can't, you got to minus 1 off, so there is 3 more units more than you, so you gain 3 it should be, I may be wrong, but it should be 3 times 2 plus 2 Well, they say Sanpei, because Ipei is 1 time and increased by another 1 time. Then Liangpei is 2 times and 3 is 3 times. I'm gonna treat it as you times 3 times, and you get to plus your base. If not, so it's either you will gain increment of 6 or 8. We'll find out more on part 3 later on. Then increase your attack by either 30% or 40%. Okay, if they will include base, that is just 30%. But you guys, at least the main idea is to understand how the mechanism work. Then the second is when you initiate, the fourth effect is when you initiate attack and after battle against the enemy. For PvP is when enemies on the field are no less than your allies, meaning as long as number of enemies on the field equals to your team or more, you will gain the act again effect. So if you don't want to waste the act again, you do not attack the enemy. So you need to go into battle for these effects to trigger. Yep, it says go into battle. So if you're using non-battling skills, this will not trigger. Then for PvE wise, and of course for PvP, you can act again, but based on remaining mobility. So this is a lower tier act again, because it's not normal act again where you reset and get to move on your normal movement. And of course they can't give that to her after the third effect of at least double folding the mobility and damage attack increment. Okay, but for PvE is even weaker. There is no, of course, PvE is stronger because there is no limit. They ignore number of enemies on the field, so you can just act again as long as there are enemies. And last but not least, the act again effect will enter City of 2 turns upon triggered. This is actually a very good effect in my opinion, because upon trigger, the skills, this talent or skills effect will enter the CD of 2 turns. So this means if you have other allies who can allows you to act again 2 turns, you will instantly wash up the CD of the skills and you can trigger your own act again in the single turn. So just imagine for some reason your allies can survive, be it so PvP or PvE, that's the same thing. So Erza attack enemies on the field, and let's say the scenario is the number of enemies will are no less than your team. So you can imagine Erza go attack into battle 1 time, then she'll trigger act again, attack again. So let's say your allies manage to like Liana cast act again on her and heal her, she will act again and attack the 3rd time. Then on the 4th time, let's say characters like Ascians or Florentia will again heal or just let her act again. She can attack the 4th time, which by then the CD is already reset. She can attack a maximum of 5 times in a row. Correct me if I'm wrong, 5 to 6. But I'm pretty confident if you have 2 other act again characters and you're trying to focus to palm on Erza, there will be at least 5 times, 5 attacks in a row from her. That's very devastating. Then last but not least, it's one great thing about her is she can have 3 lifetime, and when I mean that is because she has 2 times revive skills and 1 time ordinary HP, so she has 3 life, and that is at the start of battle you already will gain a layer of buff that provide the first revive effect, And the effect is upon receiving that blow, you resurrect with, though it's kind of low, but not bad, 20% HP, you still revive. And the second is, if you initiate attack and kill the enemy, you will regain 1 stack of a revive buff. So the maximum you can revive is 2 times from the skills and left with your 1 main HP. Then it's pretty cool. And last but not least is the effect cannot be immune nor dispel. Okay, we'll find out later on if characters with those skills effect, let's say kill off enemies that survive death blows, will it still work? Because this effect, it cannot be immune or dispel, so I'm going to presume she will still resurrect, unless likewise. So we'll find out more later on. Okay, and she only have 1 single path. So you guys, I just scroll down. She is from infantry, so definitely her main weakness will be cavalry. Okay, and again, like Lucy, she has both transformation skills on herself and also transformation on her offensive skills. So it's not just 1 or 2 exclusive skills, apparently it's more, and we will be going through now. Okay, the second class are all old skills. All the exclusive skills can come on a third path. Okay, this is one of the signature skills. You guys, Fairy Tail fans will see it on anime. That is Requip Heaven's Will Armor. For the Japanese version is Kanso Tenrin no Yoroi. So yep, Heaven's Will's Armor. So I get this from the official, I won't say official, but the Fairy Tail wiki. So there's the translations. I checked the Japanese and the English version. Apparently Erza's translation is easier to check compared to Lucy, because Lucy, you got to check on the summon, you got to check on her own skills, and some of the thing is not really written there. So from the wiki. Alright, so this skill is a 1C, is a CD of 4 turns. The range itself, the AoE type, is single target transformation skill. Alright, the effect are as follows. So again, because it's transformation skills with additional effect, it looks kind of long, so bear with me. So the effect is, upon using these skills, you will be transformed to Tenrin no Yoroi mode, or the Heaven Will Armor mode for Erza, and gain the following effects. And yes, when you use these skills, Erza's form will kind of change. Okay, the effect as follows. Number 1, all passable terrain will be treated as flat land. Number 2, when you enter or when you initiate attack before entering battle, obtain 1 undispellable magic sword buff effect. Okay, the magic sword buff effect are as follows. First, after you initiate attack into battle and dealing damage to target enemy, kill off the soldiers unit of other enemies standing 2 blocks around the target. Second, each magic sword will kill off 1 soldier unit. Third, gain additional magic sword buff when you are in danger zone. The max stack up limit is 5. Fourth, effect lasts up to 3 turns or when you lose this transformation. 5, this effect cannot be dispelled nor immune. Okay, that's the end of the magic sword effect. Back to the whole thing is number 3, buff turn you had will not be reduced, and you can act again based on remaining mobility plus 2. So okay, again, this is a new gimmick and mechanism effect introduced from Zilong. So allow me to let's re-summarize and go through. So the great thing about this transformation is, number one, she will have no terrain obstructions unless the terrain is a sky. So other than that, Erza will have no problem passing through terrain, be it water, land, mountains, trees. Then number two is when you enter or when you initiate attack, and before you enter battle, you obtain, it didn't say it's one layer or one stack here, it just says you obtain one. So pardon if there is some error in translation, so I'm trying to follow directly. So you obtain one undispellable buff effect. So there's a magic sword buff effect. There's also a skill that she used in the show. So it says when you initiate attack going to battle, and after dealing damage, so again, back to the example we are using yesterday. So this is not targeted at a hero, but their soldiers unit. So it's trying to make the enemy's allies to be more vulnerable. So example, you're trying to attack the enemy Landers, and one ally who stand 2 blocks around him is, for example, Rose and Seal. So Rose and Seal is at full HP with full soldiers. After you attack Landers, so Rose and Seal soldiers unit will be killed off, but of course it's not all of them. So it's for each, actually it's for each stack or number of magic sword will kill off 1 soldier. So every unit will bring 10 soldier unit. So this magic sword will kill off 1 soldier unit. So Rose and Seals will only be left with 9. But of course, for whichever or whatever reason, you are able. Okay, sorry, I got a correction. So you will start off with 1 undispellable magic sword buff. So initially you only have 1, and to gain additional magic sword buff, you got to be in danger zone. So you gain additional sword buff. So once you're in danger zone, you gain 2 instead of 1. So each time you it didn't say when you enter, but they just say as long as you're in danger zone, you will gain an additional magic sword buff. So for whichever reason, the max stack you can gain is 5 magic sword buff, which means you can kill off 5 soldiers unit of Rose and Seals. This makes her very vulnerable, especially against unit that heavily need soldiers for protections to survive. Example like characters that relies on Witch or Miko. Like for Miko is when they're at full HP, you give like correct me if I'm wrong, but we're just giving an example here, at least like 40 to 50% damage reductions, physical damage reduction, whereas for the Witch is when they're at full HP, you gain 45 magic defense, and of course once you break the full HP effect, the effects render useless, and also they'll lose their attack increment. So this is a very great skills to making other enemies around the target to be more vulnerable, because back to her talent, after the attack she can let's say as long as the enemy's unit are no less than yours, you will trigger act again, so you can attack again. And again, the effect lasts up to 3 turns or upon losing the transformations, and this effect cannot be dispelled nor immune, which is pretty cool. So again, like Lucy, this skills, I'm not sure if it's going to be considered a buff later on, but this skill cannot be dispelled, nor can it be immune. So even if you have debuff effect that do not allow you to receive buff, casting these skills still allows you transformations. There's no way to stop this, so why not? This is definitely great. And last but not least, this is act again skills. Erza has a self act again mechanism, and on top of it, this skills provide you an act again with an additional of +2 to your mobility. Okay, remaining mobility, so not bad. Okay, so Tenrin no Yori, Heaven Will's armor, that is very great. Okay, second exclusive skill 2 is known as Heaven's Will, Blood Blood. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm not sure pronounce it wrongly, but from the site, this word is spelled as BLUMENBLATT. Okay, Heaven's Will, Blood. I'm not sure this is like a pun but apparently the Japanese pronunciation seems to be like this: Tenrin Blood. Okay, again, so this skills is 2C skills, has a CD of 2 turns, has a range of 2 blocks. The AoE type is physical single target attack, so it's a 2 range single target skill. This is apparently her version of Air Slash. So the effect as follow. Number 1, attack and deal 1.5 times damage to target enemy. Number 2, before battle, reduce target's enemy attack and intelligence by 25% for 2 turns. Number 3, if you have magic sword buff with you, the following will happen. First, deal 0.5 times fixed damage on your attack to enemy before battle, of your attack, sorry. Second, for each additional magic sword buff you had, increase the skill damage by 0.5 times. Number 4, close combat soldiers unit will attack together and ignore penalty. Okay, let us go through again. So, number 1, the usual stuff like Air Slash, deal 1.5 times damage. So, number 2 is before battle, you'll reduce target's enemy attack intelligence by 25% for 2 turns. So, this is definitely a debuff, which is pretty cool because I may be wrong, but this is by far one of the higher or even stronger offensive stats reductions against enemies, because it reduced by 25%, and it's not just attack or intelligence, it is both. So it's a very generic skills that is very cool. And number 3, you will gain additional effect if you have magic sword buff. So the first says your enemies will take 0.5 times fixed damage based on Erza's attack before battle. And second, so in case you guys are wondering, the 0.5 times increment is for the fixed damage. No, it says for each magic sword buff you had, increase the skill damage rate by 0.5 times. So this means that if you have 5 stacks, correct me if I'm wrong, apparently there's no damage limit set here. So this means that based on exclusive skill 1, Tenrin no Yori, if you can gain the magic sword, the max you can gain is 5 magic sword. That means you'll gain 2.5 times plus the original 1.5 times. At max, you can do 4 times range, single target range damage against the enemy. This is, of course, definitely needs some setup, but this is by far, if definitely doable. I'll say definitely doable in PvE. And if you manage to achieve this, this is definitely one of the like godlike and strongest 2C single target attack introduced in Langrisser. Correct me if I'm wrong, but based on what I've translated here, the max is 4.0 times you can go, and no 2C or 3C has ever achieved that yet in Langrisser. And last but not least, the close combat soldiers attack unit will attack together, and you ignore the close combat penalty. So yeah, that is pretty cool for exclusive skill 2, I gotta say. And now we have come to the end of the skill, which is 3C, and we are in for a surprise. Apparently we have an additional exclusive skill tree that will come out to you with the assistance of a 3C, and here we go. So this is one of the, I'm not sure if this is considered the strongest, but definitely one of the stronger form she had in the series. This form, or the 3C given to her, is called Yoto Beni Zakura Honga. So loosely translated as Demon Blade Rick Sakura. So Demon Blade, Yoto means Demon Blade. So Beni Zakura means the Rick Sakura. Then last but not least, she says Ben or Honga, like your true self, like a true form release. But I know, yep, this is not Bleach, so I'm not going to use too much. So this skill has a CD of 5 turns. The range is 1 block. The AoE type is Transformation Physical Single Target skills. It has both passive and active skills. So let's go through the passive effect first. Number 1, when allies die, the following will happen. First, dispel 2 debuff from Erza. Second, reduce this skill's CD by 5 turns. So holy moly godly, I gotta say. So apparently this is a strong buff up version for, in case you guys do not know, for both Lucy, Natsu and Erza. They were previously much weaker, and after some complaints and research from fans towards Zilong, they had a last minute buff up towards the characters. And previously there is a cooldown for this passive effect, but I will skip that. So back to the topic is, how strong is this skill? So first, as long as allies die, and it says allies, so Yojin, it doesn't really has to be hero. This means summons will do, and she is definitely going to have a great combo, great time with characters like Liana summoning angel, then can let the angel, sacrifice in the enemy's crowd, or you can use LL Chris, aka the Bright Summoners. You can, summon her Unicorn Pegasus on first turn, giving her faction buff and strengthen her soldiers unit. Then if during the time or during the turn she get any debuff, or Beni Zakura has been already used and is in CD, you can just sacrifice the summon unit to instantly 1. Dispel debuff up to 2 debuff from Erza, and second, reduce the skill CD by 5 turns. So instant reset for the 3C because the CD of the skills is 5 turns. Cool, pretty cool. Okay, active skills. So the active part. Okay, and this is the first time. Weird enough, there is a additional text that is not really to do with the effect, but they're trying to tell you that Erza is going through transformations. So it says, active skills. Erza will discard her armor and obtain Demon Blade Beni Zakura and do as follow. So this is where afterwards the effect and attack commence and kick in. Number 1, attack and deal 1.7 times damage to target enemy. Number 2, dispel 3 buff from enemy before battle. Okay, number 3 is for PvP only. If number of enemies are more than your ally this battle, they cannot trigger revive effect. So this is only for PvP. Number 4, Demon Blade Benny Zakura. Okay, I'm gonna highlight Okay, this is a transformation of a skill to another skills. So number 4 is Demon Blade Benny Zakura. Okay, the following effects will happen, or the effects are as follow. First, these skills will transform skill 2 Heaven's Will Blue Mad Blood into Benny Zakura Slash, and the skill can be used straight away. So Benny Zakura Slash has the following effect when you initiate attack and goes into battle. So the effect as follow. Number 1, reduce your own defense by 30%. So yep, you guys heard it right, is reduce your character's own defense by 30%. Number 2, you will attack first in battle. Number 3, you will ignore 30% of the enemy's defense. Number 4, heal back 30% of your HP, your max HP before battle. Number 5, you will dispel 1 buff from the enemy. So there are also additional effect. So it says for each enemy that is more than your ally on the field, aside from defense reduction, increase all your effect stats by 1 time, and the cap limit is at 3 times. Number 6, effect cannot be dispelled, cannot be immune, dispel, and last for 2 turns. So, okay. So this is pretty cool. So let's summarize again based on what I've translated from text. So number 1, 1.7 times damage to target enemy. That is definitely above average. 1.7, but it's not like the higher is not 1.8 to 2 times. Then second is the usual stuff. Instead of you get dispel from enemy before battle. However, instead of the best 5 debuff, 5 buff dispel, you only get 3 debuff. Then third, we have PvP effect only. That is, if, of course, again there's also conditions to be met. Is if the number of enemies are more than your ally this battle, they cannot trigger revive. So, and when we say ally, it includes Erza. So if your teammate including Erza, that's only 4 unit, and enemies has 5 unit in this battle, they cannot trigger revive. And of course, they didn't say enemy heroes. So the great thing in the mechanism is it will include summon. So if by any chance the enemy is there to summon units, which makes their number of allies more than yours, they're in for trouble, big trouble. And number 4 is the Demon Blade Benny Zakura, where they will transform. If you bring second skills, the exclusive skill 2, Heaven's Will, Blue Man's Blood, Blade, it will transform into VA-Sayaka, which also can be used straight away. So if you can act again, you can use these skills. Then the effect will provide additional call so I'm not sure if this is referring to just Demon Blade VA-Sayaka only, or it's the whole 3C. We will get to clarify and find out more later on. But nonetheless, for now I'll treat it as for VA-Sayaka. It says that when you initiate attack and goes into battle, you decrease your own defense by 30%. So if you have 1000 defense stats, it will now become 700, which is very dangerous. However, to increase your chance of surviving in the battle, the additional effect is Erza will get to attack the enemy first, and second is you ignore 30% of the enemy's defense, and third is you will heal 30% of your max HP before battle. Then fourth, you also get to dispel one buff from the enemy. And there is also another catch, is for each enemy that is more than your ally on the field. Again, we use the 4 allies and 5 enemies, so there is one. Aside from your defense reduction effect, you increase all effect stats provided by 1 time. So it can be kept, it can increase by 3 times. So it says effect stats, not your own base stats, so take note. So it's not like your character is gonna get like from 1000 attack to 3000. I mean, it used effects, so I'm gonna presume it's like if you gain 10 your headdress, give you a 20% increment in attack, it will become 60% instead, maximum. If not, it's going to go 40. And nonetheless, the effect cannot be immune, dispel, and it will last for 2 turns. So I'm going to presume this definitely provided for the VA-Sayaka Slash. So last but not least, the exclusive skill 3 is the transformation skill, VA-Sayaka Slash. As you can see, it's a 2C skill, has a CD of now, the range is 1 block, the AoE type is physical single target, have both passive and active, and for more we definitely gotta wait till we do the actual demo play. If not, definitely with so much wording, it's gonna be quite confusing. Okay, passive effect, number 1, recover HP based on 30% of damage deal. Okay, pretty cool, usual, after dealing damage with these skills against the enemy, the more damage, the higher you heal, based on 30%. Active skills, number 1, attack and deal 1.4 times damage to target enemy. Number 2, reduce all skill CD by 1 turn. So the first active roll for damage is kind of low, it's 1.4 times. However, the cheese is come from the second part. So after using these skills, you get to reduce all skill CD by 1 turn. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, gotta apologize again. It's slightly or kind of confusing. We will now go to part 3, where we will find out more about the effect on which is which applying towards, so we can better understand and up our game when it comes out on other respective region aside from the CN server. So yeah, but nonetheless, it's only confusing part is whether the 3C, the additional effect is for the 3C itself or just for the transformations VA-Sayaka Slash. We just need to find out for that, but the rest of the effect is pretty clear cut and straight away. So alright, we have come to part 3, and this time around we have some meme photos from great thanks to the Langrisser Databank, and on part 3 we'll be finding out, well, the pros, cons, gimmick, and better understanding of her talent and 3C mechanism. So before we proceed, they're trying to, well, say how strong Erza is, because in case you guys are wondering, on the left is a minion saying, "My queen." There is so many people on the opposition side. Then on the middle, Erza said, "Oh yeah, let's burn it up." So the rest is the teammates with her. Oh, these are enemies. On the right side are enemies. She's the one or two allies left. This means that she's able to kill off any enemies on the right, so which is currently the more frequently used combinations of meta members in the Apex. But of course, this is just for meme purpose. Don't have to treat it too seriously. Okay, I'm trying to be checking a more important stuff. Okay, gotta apologize guys, sorry for wasting your time. The reason I kind of like get stunned or startled for a while is because I noticed that there has changes for Erza's talent as presented from the data bank. Apparently, I gotta say, not direct blunder from me, but definitely blunder from the long side. On their official release of the characters, instead they do not have a corrected version. Apparently the part 2 kindly ignore certain parts of the talent and concept, because part 2 of the video is the older version of the talents and effect, so we will be taking note on part 3, and of course towards the end of a translations text I will update it. So so sorry about it, some parts and blunder. So this is the errata, or I'm not sure, it's, you can say upgraded, some upgrade and perhaps some downgrade on certain part. It's on the talent, so instead of increasing 10% attack only at the start, she will gain a permanent 30% increment at the start of game of the game, and the offensive, however, won't be increased. Then the mobility is still gain +2, and if enemies unit are more than your ally, for each one increase the mobility effect by 1 time, the maximum of 3 times. So this increment only affect mobility and is no longer for attack. Then it's after you initiate attack and go into battle, if enemy unit is not less than your ally, you can act again based on your remaining mobility. So PvE wise, there is no limit against, like if the enemy has to be more, so you can act again. However, the act again CD has been increased from 2 times to 3 times before you can trigger it again. And for the revive effect, you automatically gain it from the talent instead of a 3C, which is even better. Oh, sorry, the revive is the same, my bad. So you obtain a layer of effect. The next time you receive death blow, you will not die. You'll revive with 20% HP. When you initiate attack and kill enemy, you gain an additional revive stacks. So maximum it can be stacked out 2 times. The effect cannot be immune nor dispel. So these are the main changes of giving her a permanent 30% attack increment instead of relying on the number of enemies count on the field. So that's pretty cool. And so yeah, describing about my theory on the mobility increment is, at the start you will gain +2 mobility. So this is a default effect given to you, so you don't have to care about enemies, but you will definitely gain a +2. However, for each enemy more than us, you'll gain an additional +2, that is, you become +4. So if the enemies is having 2 units more than us, so you will gain the effects will doubles again, so it will become two times 2, 4 plus 2, 6 plus your default 3 mobility. You can achieve of 9 blocks. So Erza will be able to move 9 blocks. So you can see in the pictures here. So we only have 3 allies on the left, while there is 2, 4, 5 enemies on the right. Okay, and this way you can see Erza is able to, from the block above her is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So up to Wet Ham is 9 blocks, so she has no problem with mobility, so you don't have to really give her angel boots, in my opinion. I'll say you give her something that prevent her from being silent, of course. And enemies and allies summon unit, including Enya mirror cloning effect, will affect Erza talent's mobility increment effect, so it will affect the increment. So you can see there is only 2 heroes, Enya and Erza, but Enya managed to do a duplicate of Erza, so we have 3 units now, and enemy has 4, so it's 4 minus 3 is 1, so she will gain based on her talent effect plus her original mobility is 3 plus 2, 5 plus 2, she can only move 7 blocks. So as you can see, from the main below is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it may not be a wise idea when picking Erza for a duplications unit, because you will got to remember to recount the mobility she has, whether her character is able to reach the enemies or not. Okay, and the talent mobility increment is a standalone independent increment buff, so it can be stacked with other buff effect and also attacking buff effect, so that's pretty cool. So we will have a look. So okay, the top part is from buff like faction or like tenure or strengthening effect. So you can see the usual sword icon, increase attack and intelligence by 20%, followed by the breeze or other kind from Letitia's buff effect, the movement icon, increase mobility by +1. Then the last 2 lines that you see that looks like a human figure, bluish or greenish human figure, that is Erza's talent. So second last, it says the fairy queen, increase mobility, increase unit mobility by +6 and increase attack by 30%, cannot be dispelled. And of course the last icon is the next time you receive a death blow, you will not die and you will resurrect with 20%. So of course mobility effect can be stacked, but in my opinion you do not need to give her the angel boost. Of course you can have mobility boost from Tenyo. That will be great. So okay, regarding her act again mechanism for PvP, after you initiate attack and go into battle, if enemy's unit is more than our allies unit, Erza will trigger act again based on the remaining mobility, whereas PvE you are not restricted to the limit, so you just have a look. So because there's only 3 allies, including this duplicate unit, and enemies there is 4 units, so it's during the battle. This is taken into calculation, it's not after battle. So you see there is 4 enemies and 3 of you, so after the battle it's the same. So enemy units are no less than yours, you can trigger that again, my bad. So this is definitely, she's definitely a great asset to the team in PvE on maps where enemies will summon a lot of enemies, but definitely not that great against map where there's only one boss enemy, because she'll not be able to trigger the egg again, which is not good. And normally you won't be sacrificing your allies, because for those rewards, normally they will have this part of no one from your allies die. So okay, the downside to take note is, if after attacking and after killing off the enemies, after the attack, and if enemy's unit is less than ours, Erza's act again will not trigger. So you got to take note. So now left and right they have 3 units, so equal unit. So after the attack, carries die, enemies only left with 2 units, Erza's act again will not trigger. So this is best to use on before act again. It is best suggested for Erza to attack tank unit, so she can trigger act again, and then you can try to go for an attack. So if you can equip items like that, there's a weapon that where she can equip is you can cause enemies to leg break, not able to tank, so you can attack the tank first, then followed by weaker units like Terry's. So that's a great combo to go with. Okay, then regarding the talents revive mechanism, you gain 1 stack or 1 layer at the start, and every time you initiate attack and manage to kill off enemies, you gain 1 stack. So the max stack you can have is 2 stack. However, this is apparently the usual, I'm not sure, you call it a bug, but nonetheless it's a mechanism from Enya. When she managed to clone Ashen or characters like Florentia, which have, like, for example, Ashen only have 2 stack of her talent, and Florentia only have 5 stack of the battle charge from her talent. But if you get cloned from Enya, they will gain an additional 1 stack for whichever reason. So if you duplicate Erza using Enya, you automatically gain the additional stack of revive from her talent. So if you duplicate Erza with 1 layer of revive effect, the duplicate unit will become 2 layers of revive Erza. This is pretty cool and pretty strong, I gotta say. So this guys not clear, so you can see it's 2, and this is the duplicate unit. So you guys can see the duplicate unit has 2 revive stacks, whereas the original Erza has only 1 revive stacks. Oh, this is a very cool mechanism. Okay, regarding the 1C, Requip Heaven's Will's Armor, Tending no Yori, something to take note unless if there is other changes from translations. Okay, so again, this is a transformation skill, and they say this effect do not belongs to strengthening effect category, so she will not she will ignore unable to receive buff. So gosh, Zong is trying to make the game and translation harder for me. And after equipping, your mobility movement icon will change to the shoes with mini wings. This means you treat every movable terrain as flat land, so there's no obstructions aside from sky. And of course, we have been talking about the angel wings accessories. In case you guys do not know the accessories I'm talking about, it's okay to ignore the name, just talk about the effect. The angel wings effect is when you enter, if you have not go into battle or commence attack, you will gain +2 mobility at the end of a turn. And if you have already gained mobility effect before you end turn, at the end of turn, instead of +2, you gain +3 mobility. Okay, so they're talking about how it can stack or work with exclusive skill 1, the transformation skill. There is how the calculations work before and after. Okay, so if at the start you trigger this effect, at the end of a turn, you're treated as Erza's normal remaining mobility +2 before you will trigger the angel wings mobility buff effect. So this means that at the start, if you have not triggered the angel wings accessories effect first, after using these skills, you're not able to gain the remaining mobility plus effect from the shoes. You just treat it as per normal. So you definitely got to this means you got to set up for 1 turn first if you want to enjoy the full effect. Okay, the below are 2 pictures. On the left is when you use exclusive skill 1 first, then you trigger the angel wings, your mobilities will become 11 block because you did not enjoy the benefit. On the right is after you enjoy the benefit, so your mobilities become 13 block, because this example is treated as there is enemies is 3 more than your unit. There's only 1 Erza, so as you guys can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She can only move 10 blocks. But if beforehand you already triggered the angel wings boots, you gain 13 blocks mobility. So yeah, that's pretty strong. Okay, this is for anyone who is interested in using that equipment, but I think she's strong enough. It's okay to not give her the angel wings unless you're talking about PvE. For PvP wise, I think preventing her from getting silent is the more important options. And after transformations, Erza will obtain the magic sword buff effect. It's a new, well, they're talking about the killing soldiers mechanism is a new mechanism. So it can be based on the number of magic swords she has. After dealing damage, initiate attack and dealing damage, she will kill off surrounding enemies around the target soldiers unit based on the number of stacks she has. The max she can kill off is 5 soldiers unit. So okay, the effect, the following clips looks like the skills is a AOE effect, but it's not. It's just an animation. It is neither an AOE effect nor a fixed damage, so it will not trigger healing effects like crystal healing. And even characters like Selina with her talent in effect that immune her from any damage will have her soldier forcefully be killed by Erza's talent effect. So the following clip shows that how the soldiers killing abilities were forcefully triggered. So you can see, so basically just treat it as the magic sword. It's not a damage skill. You just purely remove the soldier. It's kind of similar to CC White. She has this effect to put enemies on warrant and can remove all the soldiers unit from an enemy. It's not damage. She just basically fire off the so-called fire off all the soldiers unit. Okay, about how to gain the magic sword buff. So at the end of a turn, or when she initiate attack and go into battle, before going to battle, she will gain 1 stack of magic sword. So if she enter in danger zone, she will obtain, okay, when she enter in danger zone or when she initiate attack, she will gain an additional 1 layer. So this means if you trigger your act again transformation skill in danger zone, you automatically gain 2 layers of magic sword instead of 1. And then when you try to attack, initiate attack on enemy, you gain another 1. So that's 3. Yep. So the calculations will be taken before the turn end. So by the time when Erza's attack, she will at least gain 3 layers of magic sword in the 1 turn. Okay, the first pictures below is she's only gaining 1 layer when she trigger the skills outside of danger zone, to when she attack in danger zone, she will become, oh sorry, this is the full stack. That is when she has no stack. Outside of danger zone, she activate her transformation skills. She'll gain 1 layer, then she will act again to danger zone and attack. So she'll gain 2 layers, a total of 3 layers. And after battle, she'll kill off 3 soldiers unit around other enemies. Oh, okay, so this is for transformation before danger zone, my bad. So it's not in danger zone. So I was wondering if she transforms in danger zone, is it she's going to gain 4 stack? Okay, it didn't really explain, but they just show it stays, she has 0 layers, and she casts the transformation skill outside of the danger zone. So as you can see, enemies are initially at full HP, so the soldiers are 100%, and it becomes 70%. This means 3 of the soldiers has been killed. Okay, coming to 3C, things to take note about 3C. So when using 3C, she will first obtain the effect of Demon Blade Benizakura. And this effect again, oh my god, it's not a buff effect. It will not be banned from debuff that stops you from gaining buff effects. And after you use 3C, you'll enjoy the effect that you bring from Demon Blade Benizakura. So Erza's will have her own defense reduced by 30%, but she'll attack first, ignore 30% of enemy's defense, and heal back 30% of the HP before battle, and dispel 1 buff from enemy. And if enemy's unit exceeds our allies' unit by at least 1, you'll gain aside from your own stats reductions, from this buff effect. So early on, I'm not talking about other buff effect. Again, my bad. My error in understanding the buff. So it's the buff, they're talking about the buff of the 3C. So early on I'm still thinking about buff from other stats, my bad. So so when enemies has units more than allies by at least 2, the example they're giving here is that's the max cap. The 3 times that you gain is ignores enemy's defense by 90%. Before battle, you heal back 90%, and you dispel 3 buff from enemy. So this is apparently the max and best scenario. So as long as enemy has 2 or more units than our side, you gain the best and maximize the benefit. So the misunderstanding from the translation part from my explanation has been clarified. So this is a correct clarifications. So sorry about it, but thank goodness we have it all cleared out. Then next is the transformation skill on your skill 2 through Bloom Blade. So it will forcefully cause Bloom Blood to become Benizakura Slash. Okay, and when we mention you can use it straight away, it does not mean it will release an additional attack of the skills, but it just transforms the skills, I presume. So this is the icon 10 in Diorano Ken. Diorano Ken, or the actual word is Heaven's Will, Bloom and Blood. So the Bloom and Blood, so this is the Bloom and Blood's attack, the skill icon. So this is what happened if you use 3C. These skills will be transformed to Benizakura Slash instead. So you will kind of lose the skill Bloom and Blood, and instead it will be switched out. It's kind of like a tag out of the skill. Yeah. So you guys can see there's no CD to Benny Zakura slash, on contrary to what the original version shown by Zilong that says oh no, it's the same, the CD is now, my bad. There's too much things to remember and too much thing on my mind, sorry about it. So the great thing is Benny Zakura slash has no CD, and under Demon Blade Benny Zakura states Erza can keep using these skills, so that's pretty cool. So trying to show you guys, okay, so you guys can see this is how she looks like, exactly how she looks like in the anime. So she is having bondage, I'm not sure, she has bandage, sorry, not bondage, bandage strap on the top, and she is wearing this funky punk style pants below. So this is a form, so instead of her armor form. However, do note that Benny Zakura slash can be replaced, that is, when she's currently under the Benny Zakura form, if she use Requip Heaven's Will's armor, Tenri no Yoroi, she'll automatically lose her Demon Blade Benny Zakura form and other form of effects. So she will gain different types of buff depending on the skill you use. So it's the buff from the 1C form or the buff from your 3C form. You can't gain both at the same time, you can only choose one. So you can see based on this clip, so this she's under a 3C form, but she used the Heaven's Will again and she loses the 3C form and its benefits. So only one form can be remain at a time. So that's it for the pros and cons, and now we're talking about, okay, coming to the end, that is rune emblem and casting for the characters. So sorry about that, this time round the video get very long due to the before and after translations from Zilong, which I did not expect. Initially when I do the translation, I thought they already post the latest newer version, because there is no other new post for the Fairy Tales characters talent and effects. Then there's a class stat, she has only one. Then for the characters born, okay, defense born, to clear it you gotta win one time in your daily apex. Then for the strength attack bond, you just got to clear off her class. Then for heart bond effect, level 4, when you initiate attack and go into battle, decrease damage by your unit. So quite normal, which is of course not that generic, but not too bad, meaning if you take damage from AoE, you'll be taking full only when going to battle, then you have damage reduction of 10%. Then level 7 Heartbond, when battling with enemy that has HP percentage lower than your unit, when going to battle, increase damage deal by 10%. Again, not that good, because it does say enemies with battling with unit HP percentage lower than yourself. It's not same or lower, but just lower, so you got to take note. Then you will gain 10% HP increment. Okay, these are the list of skills she will gain. Of course, we will find out more and more actual effects, talents, and stats from the demo play compared to the translation. Sorry about the translation mistake again, as Zilong did not revise and update. But like I said, they definitely release Erza as a characters to use as a great counter attack against characters like LLR Papa Vargas. Definitely, they're trying to make sure Papa Vargas get greatly weakened in the Apex scene. Just not long after we get a very strong tanker after a long time. Okay, I guess the greatest changes is only from the talent, the attack increment. Other than that, I get most of the translations correct, and of course we got a clarification on the misunderstanding about the 3C stats effect. So these are the two blunders I made. So okay, everything we've gone through. So yep, okay, I guess we've come to the end. Last but not least, this is the suggested item build for her characters. So okay, there's not much about PvP and PvE difference, but I'll say generic wise is more towards it can be used for both PvP and PvE. So you best suggested to use Ymir hammer on the most left as weapon, because to maximize her effects, talent, and abusing her abilities, best is to let enemies and also sacrifice your own allies in PvP. PvE wise, you can sacrifice your summon units, and she can gain dispel and damage increment. Then armor, you can either use dispel armor or survivability. Then helmet, Tear Fury. Then for accessories, even to compensate for greater mobility, you can give her Santa Claus shoes or angel wings, which is not shown here. Then of course you want to prevent from a one-time debuff, you'll be giving her the butterfly accessories. But in my opinion, I would really go for bracers, since if you're going to sacrifice your teammate and maximize her stats, I believe more, if not most of the enemies should be one shot by her effort. I would rather give her either bracer or the blood nail that will prevent your heroes from getting silenced. So that's the things, the worst fear we get, in my opinion. So yep, that's all for the video. Thank you guys for watching and being patient with me because of all the changes done for some of the characters. This is Kami. See you guys on part 3 of video. Thank you guys for watching and goodbye.